about what to do. But let's just think through, what is it your students need to know? Of course, we start with the course ILOs. What are the intended learning outcomes? We are still obligated to be sure students leave here on April 23rd having achieved those, knowing those things. So what are the best ways to communicate those? If you're a high lecture person, content comes from you, not from books or videos or anything else. It comes from you, and you use PowerPoint to communicate that. Voice over PowerPoint is probably the preferred way. If you are simply lecture only and nothing else, maybe a video, or if you have written notes, don't blow by that. I mean,
yes,
that's a way to get content out. That is the lowest bandwidth. If we go down to dial-up, you can still get written notes out there.
If you want to do that, I can show you how to post it really easy. Easy to post.
So that's one simple. If you are a draw on the board and that's it, go ahead. These classrooms are available right now, okay? You can borrow my camera. Just come up here and just start. The lecture as if students are in the classroom, run the video, draw on the board as if they are there, if that is your most comfortable place, because we have time. It may not be ideal for online pedagogy, but we don't have the, I don't know about you guys, it takes me 2 to 3 months to create an online course. So we have to be a little bit more responsive.
You might, if that's what you want to do too, you can probably check with media services. They probably have some cameras available.
Okay, and theirs are probably better than this one too, but yeah, some things. So media services might be a good resource for that. And even if all else fails, and I know we have some professors who, because of health concerns, are just staying at home, you can pull up your phone and just stick your phone up in a corner, have a spouse hold it or something, and just do the lecture that way. Again, that's for the pedagogy experts of this remote education would say that's not normally the best way. But think about it. Anybody ever watched a program, watched an interview like that on video that's done that way? See, it can be compelling. Even podcasting is huge right now. So another thing to consider, if you don't want to have to put on your makeup, just do the audio. And that's, again, lower bandwidth. You can get the content lower, get it delivered. So think through that. And be creative. Like Zach pointed out this last slide here, there's tons of great stuff already on the internet. And it does take time to find it unless you're already out there. You're like Aaron Ross, you're just cruising the web all the time, always aware of what's out there, pulling that stuff forward. You can pull that in there. Think about maybe some creative elements in there. The next thing to do is think about how you're going to assess their learning. Look at what you've already got in place. If it's already there, it already works, great, just go with it. But it may be there are better ways to do that. So find some ways to score them. If you use discussion forums, add some weight to that. And you can take it from some other place. I recommend, if you can do it today, come up with a new scoring plan for the whole course. Let your students know, send them an email. If you need more time than that, just let them know, by the way, with this, I'm likely going to have to change things from what they see in the syllabus, but here are some points about how you can do that, some things to think about, put those pieces in there so that they know what they're going to be dealing with. As you know, a good chunk of our students are really freaked out about their grades. It really matters a great deal to them, and if you do something different than what you told them, they'll be mad at you and they'll let you know about it, and they'll come and talk to me about it as your dean. and so that way, if you can just say, hey, everything, it's all new rules here, a new game, but let them know early, and if you don't know it yet, just let them know you don't know it yet. And also let them know, send them an email today, okay, we got tomorrow figured out, I don't know about next Thursday, let alone next week or the week after, but please check your email regularly and doing that. What I'm probably going to do is, in homiletics 2, is do voiceover PowerPoints for the content, live sessions, because we do this as a class. We do this exegetical series. We're going through Ephesians now, and the goal is to be a class interactive. So I will do live Zoom sessions, but not 75 minutes, probably 30 minutes, maybe 40, so the class still gets that interaction still in there. I'll record it, make it available, and then also follow up with specifics for those who, for whatever reason, don't have access to internet right there so that they can keep the work there, but that maintains the classroom identity. What we don't want to do in this season is get students to start thinking they are online students and they don't want to come back in the fall. Don't have to. That's something we need to have, that personal interaction there that can do that, as much as dealing with just also the realities, and I think they get that and they know that. So think of other creative ways. Again, text-based as opposed to video-based is probably less risky in this real world. So far, I haven't been aware of any problems, shutdowns, but as we know, everything's changing every day. So we'll see what happens. And creative things, but I would love to hear other ideas that people have, and Zach, I don't know if anything else.
I had one more
Yeah,
piece.
sure.
Everybody's been introduced to the RICE calculator. If you're interested, for me, that's very valuable into seeing how much it should be taking students. If you want information on how to do that, let me know, and I'll show you how that works.
Yeah, Melissa.
Yes, what I've told my students, especially undergrad, is, 11 o'clock Wednesday, be on your computer. My assumption, what I took from the Friday meeting, was that this is maybe the best thing that we should do, and maybe it is, maybe it isn't now. But regardless, that's what I'm going to at least do for Wednesday.
Right.
Okay, so here's my question. I know Kevin Weaver is doing a session on Zoom at 1 o'clock, but you've used it, several of you have done it. I would just like to hear some of the best practices. I know that I've done Zoom conference calls where we're all kind of interacting, but then I've heard, well, that can be chaotic, so you should just have students text questions in and you respond that way. What have you found to be kind of the best way to use a Zoom for a classroom setting? Is it to have, where students can just kind of interject, or that they write their questions out and you kind of read them and answer that way?
Depends on the size of the class and the nature of the
Okay, so I have 22, for example. in
that will
meetings.
work.
So one thing that I've done a bunch of ways, because I was doing this remote for a while. One of the things that I found is to tell everybody initially, like it's good to leave your sound off,
Okay.
like so that they're not their vocal is off.
Yeah.
Because if they're
That gets
if they have a
feedback.
cat,
That's
if they have
feedback.
like a dog, you got like something that people don't know, and then you have to stop and go like, hey, somebody's cat is meowing right in. So
Or
just
younger
tell them to leave
siblings.
it off.
All the schools
And then
are
I actually started having people text, like I get my phone, and you may not want to do this, but I get my phone, and I'd say, text me a question, so that I can be talking, if it's gonna be more like a presentation, they can text the question, and then we can say, now open up your mic and share what you're thinking.
So they can text also into the software too.
Yes.
Yes.
There's
Yes.
a little text blocking in there.
Yes.
Dollar bar?
Right.
There's also a way to just do little squares of all the students, but not have it zoom into them. Just have it, to select.
Usually it's automatic whenever
Yeah.
you speak.
Yeah, you can turn the automatic off.
You can turn that off, and then you can select it manually. So there is that function.
This is for if you're kind of going the route of Google Meet. One thing that I've just kind of like, just as we were talking, kind of like trying to play around with the word, is that if you have all your classes already in your Google Calendar, what I've just done is I've just invited all of my class to my calendar invite. And I think, maybe you said it, but I'm just reiterating it, like you can press add conferencing, which will automatically give a Google Meet link.
Right.
And it's the same link for every class, like for every time period. So the students will always have the link how to get into the Google Meet. You don't have to do any extra work. You don't have to constantly set up a new conference. You don't have to set up send out another email. They all have it. It's all there. It's simple. It'll probably make the confusion go down for students, or like, what link am I clicking? Because it's always going to be the same link as well. So just an idea. I'm going to do that for all my classes. I'm going to add them all to my calendar invite and just email them, say, hey, accept it. That's the link. Click that link, and we'll be going together.
Right. I just recommend that if you do that, there's a couple little extra settings in the bottom right-hand corner of the invite. Make sure you uncheck the option to allow participants to invite other people to the meeting. So just so they can't invite, someone else or their friend to the meeting, you just want to uncheck that box. But it is a very simple way to do it.
But my experience with Zoom is typically our doctor ministry class is 10 to 15 students, and works well in terms of if you like a lecture with discussion following and you don't have a voice over PowerPoint ready to go, that's a good way of doing it, and if you want, a few students can share, especially if they're comfortable, they know each other. A really good way to be able to get the dynamics in there. So you can lecture content, and then again, headphones are another big thing. Have them have headphones, so even if they click off, they can get feedback because their mic will be picking up there. So tell everybody bring the headphones, and then mute themselves when they're not speaking. I think the Socratic idea, if that's the way you teach, open question, and you want everybody to hear everything, it's a little bit quicker. You can also do the same thing with discussion forum, typed out, though. That's the one trade-off. But for some students who want to, the biggest advantage is it's real-time interaction. So if you've got projects, I would say if you have students working in on group projects, you can assign separate groups for them. And have them each do individual video groups to be able to work together for that.
So I have some presentations.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you?
And I do too.
Yeah.
And so I have students record themselves, get on their phone, they're going to be preaching. And they're going to be preaching live, and they will do those. They will send me the links. My experience has been, there is a way you can upload directly to MyFire. It's way better now than it was under Moodle. And so they can go right into the assignment link or the discussion forum, and you can set up the discussion forum to have video uploads and use that as the platform, and students can give feedback right there. I have students do peer grading as well as my grades. The peer grading software is still not perfect yet, so I have everybody send me forms, and then I'll calculate on an Excel spreadsheet to give them their scoring, because weighting my grades and theirs. The other way that I found historically has been upload to YouTube or Vimeo. If the students do that, then they can insert the link, because their upload rates are just so much better there than they are on Brightspace. So that's been a little bit easier way to
Just
do
make
that.
a private Vimeo channel or whatever?
Yeah, if they
Create a
they
private
want-
channel.
You know, I have a public one, and I warn students, if you ever want to remove this, let me know, and students do that all the time. But it provides something that they can always go back to and take a look at, and you require them to evaluate themselves.
So they upload it into YouTube?
They can, it's not required, they can do that, Vimeo, or they can upload directly.
Then they can download it, so they can pop
But
YouTube right to you.
But I do have my own page. They cannot upload it into my page. They have to create their own account to do it. I don't share my uploading password and stuff like that.
Also, we have, with all SEU accounts, we do have email accounts. There is a YouTube account attached to the SEU email account that they can just activate.
Oh,
Okay.
Is it open for anybody to upload to?
Well,
Students as
it's their own user account. So like how you had to activate your own
Oh, right.
account,
Uh-huh.
it's tied to their SEU email address.
Oh, okay.
As opposed to like being tied to a personal account outside of SEU.
So how do they access it?
They just go, like if you just go to your email,
Mm-hmm.
there is, the little Google Suite
Grid?
grid
Mm-hmm.
at the top. If you select it and then scroll on down, YouTube will be one of the
there
options.
it
You
is.
may have to select a view more, but if you just navigate to it, and then you're technically signed into YouTube underneath your
Okay. So
SEU
they don't have to
account.
create a new account. It'll just pop up.
no.
Right.
Pop up.
Yeah, you may have to change some settings, like the privacy setting, but
On the back end, if you're wanting to do exams, creating exams online is very easy, and I'm actually moving to doing all of my exams
Yeah, it's easier to
online.
grade actually that way.
Yeah, it's incredibly much easier. And it doesn't take much, it doesn't really take a whole lot of time. I mean, it's a little bit more complicated than just putting it on paper, but not that much.
right.
Okay, any other ideas people have about how to either structure your classes, deliver content, facilitate the interaction, and assess learning? Yeah, of course.
For my cross-cultural communication, students are required to go out and witness someone of another religion in another culture. So I'm thinking just change it to they write a paper on that, because if they're interacting with people, that
I would.
Yeah.
isn't cool.
Right,
So
there may
is
be
that
some fears
the-
on that. The other thing you can do is, if they want to do that as the option, you can keep it open that way. But if you feel better, it may be safer to just go with the non-interaction, especially the parents here. Some even other culture, they're going to be bringing the virus over. So
if anybody has any ideas about this one, they're supposed to, in evangelism and mission class, have a conversation or something with a person who doesn't yet know Jesus, and to reflect on it.
They could possibly do that online if they have a network of relationships, like a chat basis.
Let it be network.
It's kind of very similar to Forrest's question. You know, you can,
If you can't write a paper on a friend who doesn't exist.
right. But if they have a friend they know, what I would suggest is first two options. First choice, if you have a friend you know is not yet a Christian with whom you have a social network relationship, send them a message, direct message on your favorite app of choice or email and ask them, have a conversation through the internet about their faith situation. If for some reason you don't have that or you don't feel comfortable about doing that on a social media basis, then write the paper on something else. Make it sufficiently weighty that they would prefer to do the conversation.
That's a good idea. Maybe I could just make an option of writing a paper on like a religion, because that could be broadest, depending on what I do.
Right.
So we are frowning on that interaction. My students are going to be doing premarital counseling based on software. But then they have to find a couple. Most of them already identified their couples. But are we saying the options? If you know a couple, hopefully they don't have a relationship, it's okay for them to connect? Or is it?
But I think in the graduate area, I would not hesitate to that, as long as they're comfortable with it. I think there needs to be a remote option that does not require personal interaction. So with them, doing a video session might be good, or have them watch more videos from Les and Leslie, something like that. Some sort of an alternative. I know, especially in our ministry area, interacting with people, you just cannot fully replicate without actually interacting with people. So let's be creative with that. And we pray that in 2 weeks from now, it's a lot less of a problem.
Remind me, Dave, how long is this? Is it?
April 13th is our currently scheduled day to be back on campus. That's the last week of regular classes for the semester. So we have that last week and then finals. Anybody else have any other questions or ideas, suggestions, things we have to mention?
So the finals can be on campus?
As of right now, yes.
But didn't the governor just kind of change the thing, didn't it?
I don't know what he said.
I think I heard somebody saying this morning, it was like 40 days.
Yeah, the recommendations are moving to 60 days down.
Yeah, okay. Well, and the way our announcement was made was we will revisit this.
Yes.
I think there's a goal to be able to do commencement and to be able to have students return to campus before the end of the year. But there's also an understanding if this gets worse before it gets better. And for what it's worth, looking at the trends of what's happened in China, it's stabilized in China. I mean, but it did take 2 months to run.
Yes.
And they shut down completely.
And they did shut down. Italy's getting worse, and Italy's probably a month behind China, and they were probably 2 weeks behind Italy.
They've been shut down for 2 weeks, so
And so,
it's
yeah,
still getting worse.
So are we going to be in a worse situation? We have a different cultural situation than either of them. It's probably be interesting, so we pray that it's better. Okay, any other ideas, suggestions, questions?
Dave, would somebody who's really good at Google Meets just take a few minutes right after this and show me how to do it?
Yes.
You want to do that? Hey, Aaron, can you plug in your
Why don't you come up there and just show us?
I have to go get ready for a podcast.
Can you do it?
Can something
Yeah.
that
Unfortunately, I would do it, but I've got a podcast coming up. I
Can
gotta
I use
go.
my computer or you guys?
I can use mine.
Yeah.
Thank you, Melissa, for coming and joining us.
Oh, no problem. That's what I'm here for. Okay. So, let me go ahead.
you can
ideas.
quickly get
Just
to